was a very, very fulfilling journey over a period of 8 years in Singapore. So that is also a very interesting phase. I'm really, really enjoying, and I have a lot of gratitude.
Jazz, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Looking forward to this conversation.
All right. So I've been looking at your history, and it's very interesting because you've lived in some very different geographic locations. I mean, we go from India to Singapore and now Canada, and you've stayed for a while in each one of those places. And I'm curious because as soon as you came to Canada, you spent almost 8 years in the company. And as soon as you left, you decided to start your own company. So can you tell me
Yeah.
why you left the company and why you started your own?
No, that's a great question. And I would say, in my previous company, I joined that company in Singapore. I was one of the early members of that company. Back then, Antuit was also a young company backed by Goldman Sachs. And it was a very, very fulfilling journey over a period of 8 years in Singapore. Company grew rapidly in North America and US and Canada. And the back of the growth, I actually moved 6 years back to Toronto. And during that period, while I was learning different things, I was doing different roles. I did roles like pre-sales. I did roles like customer delivery. I did role like solution architect. And I was also hearing a lot of feedback from the industry. Certain things which I felt what we need, because we were mainly focused on large companies, Fortune 500 companies. But I did realize in my journey that whatever we were solving for Fortune 500, if somebody would solve for mid-market companies, right, this technology, if we can democratize, it would be, it could be a great business. So that was always there in my mind. And plus, obviously, over a period of 8 years, working in a young company, building a company, you get used to building. Get used to making a bigger impact, right? So then, last 2 years back, we got acquired by a beautiful company, Zebra Technologies. And that was the moment when I thought, okay, it has come to a logical conclusion, right? The company has found a nice home, and it will now go into a next phase, right? And that time I started thinking, now I should kind of monetize my experience of learning supply chain planning or integrated business planning over a period of 2 decades, building a business, living in different countries, bringing it all together with the right set of team, and solving a genuine problem, right? So that's how I kind of took that decision to kind of become an entrepreneur. And the also I would say, as luck would have it, as I was thinking, that's where I met my co-founder, Ankur, who I have worked with in Antuit, and he was thankfully one of our top data scientists. You are a data scientist, so if you get an opportunity to ever talk to Ankur, you would love it. You guys will really vibe. But we're almost like a genius guy. I call him Michelangelo, who thrives at the intersection of math, calculus, statistics, supply chain domain, as well as cloud engineering, right? So at the intersection of a lot of disciplines. And this dude has worked with Walmart, Amazon, solved really, really hard problems. I come from the world which, of understanding business processes. The other two founders are also bring complementary skills, Namrata and Siddharth. So the team was very good, and these guys were already onto something. The product was already out. They had a couple of customers in India, and when we started talking, I really liked the mission, solving for mid-market, integrated planning. One of the gaps I thought was, solving end-to-end planning, demand, inventory, promotion, capacity, together for CPG retail. So a lot of things kind of clicked. It's well, but that way. And then I said, like I always say, if team is important, and second is if you're solving a genuine problem. That made me say, kind of say that, okay, let's do it.
Because was it a tough decision because you were doing so well in a company, but starting your own company comes with a lot of risks. So did you evaluate those risks? Did you like say, I need to have this much runway, I'll give it X amount of time? So how did you evaluate the decision?
It was a calculated risk. I think I would say one of the things which really helped me was, I think, two or three things which were very helpful. One is I knew, Ankur already, right? We had worked together. Uh, I knew, there was a level of, I actually went to Bangalore, lived with him as well, to ensure, value system aligned. So the one thing was obviously knowing Ankur was very important. But I think the second piece of the thing was that uh, having worked in this area for almost 2 decades, I was very, very clear that there is a gap in the market, right? What we're trying to solve. So that, kind of the experience, I would say, made me think it is. And moreover, my previous journey, which was more around, I would say, solving the problem for, large enterprises, right? And ability to kind of understand that that gap again exists for the mid market, gave me the conviction that there is this idea definitely has potential, right? That's and I would say that, I mean, I would say, like, the short answer is that it was a calculated risk, right? And yes, there is always something which you think that it will work or not work. But my thinking was that with this team and the problem which I have already identified, there is limited downside, but the upside is huge, right? So you have to always see how much is the downside, right? Downside could be what, right? I mean, even after 1 year now into the process, I know we are on to really something. We have customers, etc. And I was 80% sure. There is 20% risk always. And again, the surety was because I knew the team already, half the team already. I knew there is a problem which I am seeing, and I was 100% sure. And that kind of gave me the conviction to go after it, right? So, yeah, I would say that way.
Guys, you know what I like about your answer is your emphasis on the values that you with the other co-founder. I think people talk a lot about having complementary skills, but
Yeah.
something that is core to any partnership is that you are both aligned beyond the business because you need someone
Yes.
to support you, right? Like we've been talking before the recording that it's kind of difficult to be alone, so you need someone to be there with you to support you mentally beyond just the business process.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, when I say value system, it's about how do you think about life? How do you think about, let's say, your philosophy towards, all things in life, health, family, money, right? Because it's a very, very, can become sometimes a very difficult journey. But people try to romanticize it, honestly speaking, as super difficult, this and that. But then I also say, listen, and it's not easy to find the right team. I always say if you have the right set of people, characters, people who have not only intelligence and hard work, I think those two are given, but EQ, maturity to, if there are conflicts, maturity to talk like adults and resolve those issues, that matters a lot, right? Nobody talks about that. And second, like I said, we always knew there is a problem. How big that problem would become, how big that company, that we will see. But I knew there was something can be created. That I was quite sure. I still don't know how big this idea will spiral into, but I definitely know, again, we are on to something and we're solving a great problem. So yeah, EQ, value system, those I can't underscore. I mean, because again, I just say that if you're thinking about entrepreneurship, I think hard work and intelligence is a given, man, right? Beyond these things, those things matter a lot.
So far, here's what I get. You've worked with very big clients. and you thought, you know what, smaller companies should have access to the same resources. And
Exactly.
then you found people who you aligned with ethically, values, who are very talented as well because you work with them.
Yes.
And you're certain that there's a gap in the market. You had a long career, and you're like, you know what? Now's the right time. I want to jump into this. So let me read this to you for a second. TrueGradient is a self-serve AI product that tackles core supply chain challenges for organizations of all scale across all sectors. So that's a bold statement. Can you tell me a bit how that works practically for a company?
Yeah. First of all, you summarized the previous part of the conversation beautifully. Appreciate that. And yes, that is a bold statement. I would say it's part of our journey right now. We are building a platform uh, which is which has got two parts to it. It's let me explain to you what are the self-serve AI integrated business planning platform needs, right? So a self-serve AI integrated business planning platform means there is self-serve AI itself means it's a no-code, low-code a platform which gives ability to scientists, analysts, engineers to experiment faster, to tune deep learning models faster, to create demand planning experiments like within minutes, right? And get accelerate basically innovation and the time to kind of crush time to value. And that's what we call AutoML Studio. The AutoML Studio is now, kind of integrated, or we call it the marriage of AutoML Studio with an integrated business planning platform, which is, demand planning, supply planning, promotion planning. Typically, in the old world, this and this was separate. You would have large companies like Data Robot, H2O.ai were doing, I would say AutoML Studio, right? Then there are other large segment of companies like SAP APO, Blue Yonder, O9 who do planning. We've kind of merged these worlds. And if you look at for what I like to imagine is today, as we speak today, for the mid-market companies, we are giving the full capability together, integrated business planning. But for larger companies, like you said, for all size companies, the AutoML Studio can become like a bolt-on to their existing IBP platform. So it becomes like a model augmentation. So that is why we can actually serve the entire market. But yes, for any young companies, to be honest, one should start with focusing one primary industry, which is CPG, e-commerce, CPG, retail for us, right? But because we have an AutoML Studio, it is also industry agnostic. So it sounds counterintuitive, but it is, what I'm trying to say is the IBP platform in itself is ready for mid-market, e-commerce, CPG, retail. The AutoML Studio in itself is kind of industry agnostic, which can plug into any, existing IBP platform for a Fortune 500 also, right? So that is why that statement. But if I think about any advice to anyone, I always say focus is super important. Going deep in one sector, one problem is important. And we started that. It's been a journey. Right? We started with few modules, one industry, and now within a journey of 1.5 year, 2 years, we expanded the scope.
So what you're proposing is not something that's going to replace the analysts. I think you mentioned the word augment. It's here that you're
Yes.
providing them the tools to do whatever they're currently doing, but a lot faster and experiment very quickly.
I call it 10x human, right? Or empowered. 10x human mean you are, like you said, quickly, right? It gives you unlocks productivity till 10 times, right? And that's what the analysts and citizen data scientists, engineers can do on our platform. And that means they can collaborate really fast with the business folks, business planners. Quickly, let's say a new type of data set came in, new type of causal came in, right? So, you can work with the planner, quickly run experiment, present the results. So speed is the name of the game. So this kind of next generation platform really gives that ability with very, very, it's almost very less rigidity and a lot of power in the hands of the user.
Today, logistics is so critical. I mean, every time you open the news, something's going on. Some
Yeah,
shipment is being stopped. Unfortunately, there's so much instability in this world. So I really see the immense value of getting the industry to another level. Because right now, the traditional way of inventory and processing will not work.
absolutely. Absolutely. And uh, the agility also needs, because the world we live in, uh, you know, especially for retail and CPG, uh, we operate in a world which is volatile. The supply chains are changing. It's becoming omni-channel. Lot of SKUs. Consumers are more demanding. So brands launch a lot of new products, right? A lot of new varieties. Retailers introduce almost new lines of style, and every season, right? So that means the businesses are super dynamic, right? And consumer preferences keep on changing. That means back-end supply chains are super dynamic. That means the systems have to be super dynamic, right? So there is that shift. And then another shift is that, as you said, that every week there is, they say that, that artificial intelligence, the foundations were written by Alan Turing, I would say, in 60s or 70s, or maybe even before that. But in the last few years, the development of artificial intelligence with large language models, right, and neural nets also becoming, more and more efficient, and advances also in cloud compute, cloud optimization, has basically made this whole thing more commercially viable. This is actually a very important point, because if you talk about making this type of modern tech stack available for mid-market, I say mid-market definition is 300 million to $5 billion revenue company. It won't be possible, let's say 6, 7 years back. Now with the advances of what we're talking about, agentic AI, right? Again, cloud cost optimization, distributed computing, and neural nets, it is becoming more and more commercially viable to bring that technology to the mid market, right? So that is also a very interesting phase, in our kind of entrepreneurship journey. So yeah,
I like how you mentioned dynamic systems, but as a technical guy, I'm gonna have to ask you. So the quality of your forecast or your inventory planning will always depend on the quality of the data. But if there are
correct.
so many moving parts and then so many new nuances, then you will not be able to go back, you know, take back a lot of data because it would not be so relevant anymore with the current situation. So do you
Right.
feel like your platform will be able to adapt very quickly to those changes, especially if it will have a lot less data than, if you were just operating in a very smooth world?
That's a great question, and we get that question quite often. See, I think there are two things, right? I mean, like if I have to get specific, then for consumer product goods, the answer will be different for retailers and fashion retailers. It will be different for grocers. It will be different because the state of data and the kind of the new product introductions, like you said, right? It varies from businesses to businesses. Some situations, you have a lot of new products coming in. In that case, you have to use very new product forecasting techniques to be able to cross learn from similar products with similar attributes, right? Or use phase in, phase out technologies to develop a history, at least of 1 year or 2 year, right? To generate a reasonable forecast. But at the same time, I would also say that it's in two parts to it, right? In terms of data not being clean, there are now ways of creating synthetic data, getting human intervention to cleanse data. We call it data cleansing agent. We actually have launched something as an agentic AI use case. We call it data cleansing agent, where we've given a panel to the planner to look at the last 2 years history. And let's say if there was a data point which was you're seeing no sales there because you were under supply constraint, out of stock, you can go and fix the data because garbage in, garbage out, right? You can put any fancy AI model, but if your input data, especially past history, is not good, you won't get the outcome, right? So to your point, to solve those foundation, first of all, bringing the data in, that we have solved. We have, APIs, integration ready with all ERP systems, your typical NetSuite, Microsoft 365, SAP, ECC. That's step one, bringing data in. Step two is data cleansing through algorithms, automated algorithms, and a smart way that humans can go and do it. And not only that, planner coding, the other thing which we are very, very excited about, and there's going to paper going to come out or a small demo also, is called reinforcement learning. So if you have done a change, right, let's say certain the our agent will start learning so that it automatically suggests that this change has to happen in history. So those kind of things kind of build a proper data set. And new product, like I said, is a different kind of technique or modeling technique in which you cross learn or learn from similar products to generate a reasonable baseline forecast.
So I know we're running out of time, but I just want to squeeze in one more question.
Yeah, sure,
Eight,
man.
18 months ago, did you make the right decision?
Oh, absolutely. And I was having the time of my life, knock on wood, the best perhaps decision of my life. And I'm really, really enjoying and I have a lot of gratitude that I had this opportunity to work with this again wonderful team. And we are on a mission and we really hope that we build something which is helps our customers. Basically our mission is simple. We want our customers to say that TrueGradient really really change their lives from personally, give them more time to do higher order of thinking and also good impact on their P&L, top line and bottom line impact. So that's what we want to be remembered for, and that's what our mission is.
Chaz, that was a very interesting conversation. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me.